No, I was gonna say, like, are you guys into like Star Trek at all?
Oh yeah, there's a new Star Trek series coming out.
For CBS.
Oh, for CBS?
Yeah.
Paywall. Here's what your guys' thoughts are. Have you seen the trailer?
There's a trailer out? I haven't seen.
Well, it's a teaser.
Like just like
It's
the
a teaser,
logo
yeah.
and.
Yeah, you should watch it. I'd be curious to get your reaction after you watch it. I'd be curious if you might do an episode just talking. Do you care about Star Trek at all?
I care about the movies, the new ones. But that's all I know about Star Trek.
That'd be interesting perspective.
I've watched most of the Next Generation. I tried watching the original Star Trek.
I'd love to get your.
I couldn't do the original Star Trek.
If you
but
got a second, pull the trailer real quick and watch it.
okay.
And you guys, you're more a fan of the recent movies. So
And so am I. That's what got me interested into watching Next Generation.
I know.
And Next
now
Generation.
Next Generation.
Not the whole thing, but it took me a while to get into Next Generation.
Right.
I almost opted out, but I thought.
I'd be curious of what your thoughts are on this.
CBS presents a new adventure.
There he is. CBS presents.
Boy, I hope it looks better than this.
I always hate TV CGI.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. I
mean,
think I
it's
made
gotten-
that.
It's gotten better, but
Has it really, though, or has it just fooled us more?
Now this part.
That's pretty cool.
What's your thoughts on the last Pokemon that you saw right there?
The fact that it's like all new stuff. That it's
New crews,
new
new
villains, new heroes. See, now to me, the reason that's so cool is
I don't have to watch
I don't know
anything
jack
else.
about the old ones.
Yeah.
So like that, I don't want to sit with someone who's a Trekkie and they're like, well, this should be the Tribbles against the Klingons, you know? Because
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Why can't Star Trek go from this point forward instead of being like, oh, let's just keep looping back and forth, you know, on the same stuff we've always done? I mean, you told me how you saw Wrath of Khan, and it was
Yeah.
basically a rehash except for a simple swap between Kirk and Spock.
Into Darkness was just a rehash of Wrath of Khan, where
Right.
this ended up. I mean, there was a very different story up until the end, where it's just something like, oh, hey, Spock is what Kirk was in the
Yeah.
last movie, and Kirk is now what Spock was in the original Wrath of Khan.
Here's my question, though. Was Khan in the original, was his blood going to be like the savior of the rest of sickness?
I don't think so. I
No.
think that was a thing to make, because Spock dies in Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
Spoiler. They jettison him out into space.
Usually you have to say it before you say
Yeah.
it.
But everybody knows by now. I think it's
And
30,
then Han
40 years.
Solo.
And then Han Solo is frozen in carbonite.
Dude!
Anyway, so like
Han Solos are better toasted.
they needed to figure something out to like keep Kirk alive without like doing that, because I think the next Star Trek movie with Leonard Nimoy was Search for Spock, because his conscience could do something that because he's Klingon. I don't follow Star Trek too often.
What? Oh, okay. See, I don't know any of this. So
Of the original movies, I've only seen Wrath of Khan. I haven't seen the other ones.
Okay.
But I watched Wrath of Khan because everybody's telling me, you gotta watch it. It's so good. It's so good. So I watched it, and I thought,
Okay, yeah.
But that's because people are saying, it's here, and so my expectations were here, but
it was really
which is still good.
Yeah.
But because it fell below those expectations.
Yeah. Now here's my thing is
But
like
for Into Darkness, like they made sure to show we can redo this. Like we rebooted the timeline
Right.
with Star Trek. We can do whatever we want, and they did the same thing. They just did the same thing. At first, I thought
Yeah.
they're gonna make Khan the good guy, which I'm like, yes, make him a good guy.
Right.
You said you can do whatever you want with the Star Trek universe. Screw everything up. Make it different. Make it your own. Yeah, bring in Khan, but the twist is, it's not the twist that he's Khan. The twist is Khan is a good guy, and he's going to work with Kirk to destroy the real bad guy.
Right.
Which it kind of
he
twisted it.
was kind of an anti-hero for a bit there.
And then they made him the villain again. I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
then he was the
keep
villain
him
again.
like,
Yeah.
make him the opponent ally, where he's first the opponent, then realize, oh wait, no, he's the ally.
Yeah, but Benedict
Cumberbatch?
I was trying to think
Cumberbatch.
of something funny to say about his name, but
You-
there's so many dirty things to jump right to.
It already is funny.
Let's just say Benedict Cumberbatch is such a good villain.
Uh-huh.
And to me, like, I know we've kind of talked about this during our preview review.
Yeah.
I know nothing of Khan. I know nothing of the old Star Trek story. So to
I know
me,
very little.
Into Darkness was one of my favorite sci-fi sequels since Empire Strikes Back. I
can
think
see that.
it was literally like one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. And then I realized that Star Trek lovers kind of didn't like it because they were like, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, okay, it kind of sucks that he let down existing Star Trek fans, but then he uplifted people like me who had never been into it before to be like, now you're part of this.
Yeah.
You're part of this in a way that you would not have been before, because I already loved J.J. Abrams. I trusted him. I was ready to take this on, and he gave it to me in a way that, like, he was like, "Welcome, Trekkie. You've become one of us," but in a J.J. Abrams fashion.
Even though
know?
he himself admits he's not a Trekkie.
Yeah, where he's also like, "Star Wars is better. Here's Star Trek."
So this is my little thing. I am not a huge Trekkie, but like what kind of gets me about this, and I was a little worried about, especially like the trailer for the movie that's coming out soon, is it's more about like villain beat the villain, beat the villain, beat the villain.
Right.
And Star Trek, to me at least, was always about like the last great frontier, about adventure.
It's the world's longest road trip film.
Yeah, and you might meet someone who might have been a villain, but a lot of the things were like misunderstandings because it's space. Who knows? This culture could function completely different, and initially you think they're a villain, and you realize there's just a big misunderstanding.
Yeah.
There. And so, like, to me, like, that's what was Star Trek. It wasn't about the villains. I guess there were some villains and stuff. A lot of times they were just antagonists, like Q.
Who was a fun antagonist.
I hated him at the start, and he's my favorite character.
The first episode, you're like, ugh, Q, and then when he comes back, you're like, but then they made him this comedic relief villain.
Yeah,
you're like,
he's great.
Oh, I kind of like him now.
Yeah,
like when he shows up, like, we're in for a fun episode.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean?
I don't know who that
like,
is.
It was never about, like, but now, like, the movies are so much about, like, these epic villains, and it's all about getting rid of this villain.
Well, it's an indictment of current movie expectations.
I know, and
it's
that's
true.
what it's but that's where
the show.
Trailer.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so it's a movie. The show's going to be different. Just kind of go back to this road trip sort of idea.
Yeah.
Space
and
road trip. It's a Star Trek.
Yeah, but here they have new heroes, new villains, and to me, they're going to make the show all to kind of capitalize on what the latest movies were all about.
Yeah.
Was we're going to make a bunch of TV shows where there's just going to be a bunch of villains that we're going to.
I think you might see Villain of the Week at first, because that's how you start a show. I mean, Smallville was Monster of the Week.
Meteor Freak.
Like, it was just all these things. But then once you finally figure out who the characters are, and the show gets its own legs, and you're not doing a procedural show, then you can do stuff with it. So first season, it is going to be Villain of the Week.
Probably.
I think, because that's how Next Generation started. Actually,
it depends on how bold they are.
Q was a Villain of the Week.
Because even like if you go back to Fringe started off as Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
It worked because their overarching story actually used just about every monster in the end. But it was, and then eventually it got into a point where the plot was able to kind of just sit, and it actually progressed slowly. But I'm thinking now, like the Star Trek that I don't know, but I did watch like Battlestar Galactica, where it was like there was this big bad, but it took seasons and seasons to actually get to the point of that, and you're facing other things that are adversaries of just normal space travel, or of governments, or of things that you have to deal with just existing in this time, in this place, you know? Did you ever play Faster Than Light?
Yes.
I
failed.
Star Trek reminds me of that, the way that you're talking about it, is like, you're just traveling through space trying to get here to there to there.
And you're encountering just people who want to destroy you.
That sometimes are like, hey, can we work something out? And you have to decide right then or there an ethical choice of yes or no, and sometimes it really bites you.